Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this busy Monday night, the 14th of June, 2021. The Joe and Joe Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, in Suffolk County on Long Island. All your hardware needs, best prices in town, hurricane supplies, emergency preparedness supplies. Omni's got them all. The telephone number is 631-756-1125 and the website omnitruevalue.com. Wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs. Whether you're decorating your home for the holidays, because they'll be here sooner than you think, or you might want to do this as a side business to earn some extra money. They're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York, also on Long Island, right next door to West Babylon. 631-957-5106, and the website is liholidaylighting.com. So, Mr. Rayo is on the left, and I'm Joe Chaffee. We've got some severe weather going on this evening, Mr. Rayo. We've got a new tropical depression, a little surprise that happened today off the North Carolina coast. Saw a little spinning there yesterday, but I didn't really think too much of it. But I guess it decided to do at least organize. And we may have something coming out of the Southwest Gulf later this week. But in the meantime, the thunder is rumbling at the Rayo abode.
It is, and Mrs. Rayo and I just a few moments ago, well, she's been doing most of the work. She's trying to get in all of her bulbs, Joe. She spent the better part of the afternoon doing that. But now, we've got some thunder and lightning, and well, I haven't seen the lightning. Certainly have heard the thunder rumbling about, so she called for me to come outside and help her put away the last of her stuff. And that's why we were a little bit late, but not just here, but throughout much of the tri-state area. It looks like a broken line or cluster of showers and storms are moving through. So looks like we have a rather active period of weather going on right now in parts of the tri-state area.
All right, so let's bring up. I'll bring up the Tornado HQ radar. And by the way, welcome to everybody that's on the chat board tonight. It's always good to see everyone as a new week begins. And we have this line of thunderstorms. It's always fascinating in one form or another to watch what happens to these storms when they develop in Pennsylvania. You have this solid line that's moving eastward, and of course, you start to run into the usual issues, which is basically the marine layer and wherever that is set up, and suddenly you start to see the line fracture and weaken a little bit. And that looks as though that's what's happening right now when we look at this fresh radar site. Some big cells, Joe, northwest of you, up the Hudson Valley, up toward Newburgh and Poughkeepsie. And then there's this big hole that is over western New Jersey going into eastern Pennsylvania. Then you got a cluster that's around Allentown down to about Norristown, and then west-southwest from there. Then another break until you get into Maryland. There's a break just west of Harrisburg, and then they fire up again from Hagerstown west-southwest to Parkersburg. So it's kind of like this broken line. And by the way, Timothy Veltman messaged me earlier when they had, I think, 3 or 4 severe thunderstorm warnings up in upstate New York around the Albany area at about the same time, but there was no watch box up there. It was all, the watch box was across Pennsylvania into western New Jersey down into Delaware and Maryland.
Yes, and that is kind of unusual. And you say up toward Tim Veltman's area in the Albany area, and yet the Storm Prediction Center was talking about possible severe weather to the west and south of New York City. So all is not what had been anticipated, at least in terms of convection and thunderstorm activity. It looks like indeed a good part of this activity has been concentrated mostly from Poughkeepsie on north. We get a bit of rumbling activity here, as I noted, and this may be only the first of a couple of waves of convection, Joe. We may get another round of thunder and lightning here a little bit later on in the evening after a little bit of a lull period, if you will, in the action after we get past this band that's coming through right now.
Yeah, and maybe that cluster that's sitting between Harrisburg and Allentown might be one of those bands for later. I'm looking here. I'll give it a quick refresh to see if there's a couple of warnings still in play this evening in our zone, and there's action going on elsewhere. We're going to take a look at that as well. But you can see here there's a still cluster there from Trenton northeast to about Sandy Hook, and at 7:01 there was a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued. This was for East Central Mercer County in Central Jersey, Central Monmouth, and Southern Middlesex County. This warning is going to expire in 6 minutes. There are no warnings in the Hudson Valley at the moment. We've got 3 warnings up in West Virginia. One that's covering Tucker County and southeastern Preston County in West Virginia. Another warning to the west that covers Taylor in northern West Virginia, northwestern Barber County in northeastern West Virginia, and northeastern Harrison County in northern West Virginia. I don't know how I would be able to.
And West Virginia is a relatively small state, and on top of that, it's got a cardinal point or a direction in there. So as you just mentioned, northern half of West Virginia, southern half of West Virginia,
southeastern half of West Virginia, the western half of West Virginia, yeah, and on it goes. Also seeing a little bit of convection in southeastern Massachusetts, heading for the Cape. We'll see if that winds up holding together. One of the things I noticed, and I got the hazards up map, the temperatures finally pushed up to 70 over parts of western Long Island. Of course, as soon as I moved the map, there they go, the numbers came back. But most of the day on Long Island and in Connecticut, and this evening, as you look into parts of southeastern Massachusetts and Connecticut, if the numbers would just come back, please, it's in the 60s. But earlier during this afternoon, we saw temperatures make it up into the 80s in parts of south central, southeastern PA, and points south and west of there, and the dew points actually pushed up over 70. I was a little surprised that they got as high as they did, but certainly was enough, certainly juiced up the air here. And now, of course, what we're waiting for is this cold front to come on through, because when you look up northwest in northwest PA and in western New York, you start to see dew points down in the low 50s, and further north, because our air is going to be coming down from eastern Canada, we're eventually going to see those dew points get even lower over time. So we just kind of sort of have to move everything along. And I think, Joe, that Tuesday is going to be a day, I usually refer to the kind of day that Tuesday is going to be as one where we just pretty much spend it doing meteorological house cleaning. Just kind of, getting the throes of the current air mass out of here, and then start to gradually bring in the next air mass. And of course, sometimes you get a little instability with that. So that's kind of how I'm seeing Tuesday before we get into the nice dry air for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
And that nice air is really looking very nice indeed. Joe, I have already designated Wednesday as the pick of the week, although Thursday and Friday aren't going to be too shabby either. But I'm talking about temperatures on Wednesday, 70s to near 80, dew point temperatures in the 40s, and maybe a complete lack of any cloud cover, just nothing but lots and lots of bright sunshine. It's going to be one of those, you sometimes hear about the top 10 days, but Wednesday could very well be one of those top 3 or 4 days of the year where everything just falls into place and turned out to be near letter perfect. So you have any plans, those of you who, might be not thinking about perhaps taking a day off on a Wednesday playing hooky, certainly Wednesday is your kind of day, I think. And again, Thursday and Friday, too, look very nice. It won't be really until the weekend, the start of the weekend on Saturday, when we'll have to deal with another weather front and a surge of more humid air that we may have to deal with. Again, the threat of scattered showers and maybe even a couple of rumbles of thunder.
Christina Petey is asking me how the dog is after yesterday, because those of you who were here yesterday, may remember that JJ upchucked during the show, and I had to step away for a moment to clean the mess. He's fine. I don't know what that was, but he's perfectly fine. He was perfectly fine.
There's no editorial opinion about the show, was it?
No, and he's actually not in. No, he's out of the room right now. He's sleeping on the air conditioning vent in the next room because it got to 88 today here. Meanwhile, there's some hefty showers. It's been raining quite a bit today in Central and South Florida. And we can see the radar has been pretty busy there today. Also seeing some scattered storms throughout the parts of the Carolinas into Central Georgia, south and east of me, because I'm up in the northern part of the state, and going west back toward Montgomery to Jackson, we're seeing some clusters of thunderstorms. Also, some clusters of thunderstorms and some patchy severe weather in parts of the great state of Texas. And as we widen out, just want to take a look at what's happening elsewhere. A little bit of activity up there in Wyoming, and also some scattered showers back around into the Great Lakes. I think the bigger story, by the way, is the fact that when we look at what's going on around the country, is the southwestern corner of the U.S., Joe. You got all sorts of red flag warnings, excessive heat warnings, heat advisories, excessive heat watches, covering a good chunk of California, particularly Southern California into Arizona and Southern Nevada, which we're talking about places like Phoenix, Las Vegas, Palm Springs. They were talking about shutting the airport down at Palm Springs because the temperature's forecast to go above 121, and that's only happened a couple of times. So that's where all the heat is, and that's where the heat is going to be for another few days.
Now, what did Lucy Ricardo's mother say about Palm Springs? There's one when there was the episode where it was raining in Palm Springs, and she said, "Palm Springs, where the sun."
Where the sun always shines, or something. Yeah, I don't know what the saying was.
And
I forgot.
And then she said, "Where's the sun?" But it's not a laughing matter. They are talking about excessive heat across much of the southwestern United States, especially even in Salt Lake City. Their projected high tomorrow, Joe, 105 degrees, and if they hit 105, that will tie for the hottest temperature ever recorded in the month of June for Salt Lake City.
Really?
But there are so many other places like Las Vegas, for example, and Denver. I mean, there are so many places that are going to be in triple digits tomorrow.
Well,
it's not simply going to be confined. It's not going to be simply confined to, let's say, lower California or southern Arizona or whatever. I mean, there's an immense bubble of heat out there in the West.
No, I'm trying to get my hazards map to go out in that direction, and it's loading. So just give it a moment here. Let's see if I can manage to swing this all the way out. I'm halfway across the state of Texas, starting to run into some 100-degree readings. I am now in the great state of Arizona, where Phoenix, as of 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time, I forget if they're on Mountain Time or on Pacific
They're
Time.
on Mountain Standard Time right now, which is equivalent to Pacific Daylight Time. Arizona, smartest state in the union, along with Hawaii, they do not recognize or they do not observe daylight time.
Right, they just
stay on the same clock all through the year.
Okay, so it's 4:35 in the afternoon. It's 111 there. Cottonwood Cove on the Nevada side of the Arizona border is at 114 with a dew point of 33. Las Vegas is 109. The relative humidity there is 3%. The dew point is 15. 3%.
So it's a dry heat.
It's always a dry heat. Where are we going here? Let's see. Palm Springs Regional Airport is triple ones. Snake Eyes in a spare. Let's go. You mentioned Salt Lake City. Let's see. Salt Lake City right now is 102. The dew point 15 with a relative humidity of 4%. They got a nice breeze though. It's southeast at 16. And
Oh God.
you mentioned our friends in Denver. Denver right now is 95, a dew point of 47, so that works out to a relative humidity of 19%. Only a northeast wind at 7. That still is a listen. That's still a lot better to bear than 95 with a dew point of 67. No, I
Yes,
mean that is a lot easier to bear. And just along the,
absolutely.
and at least they're getting some. They're getting west winds along the California coastline. So at least some of the coastal areas, Los Angeles, Burbank is at 90. But I'm thinking, Camarillo Airport near Oxnard is 79. And then, of course, you could always go to Santa Barbara out off, is 63. There's an island. I don't know if this is Santa Barbara on land or this is the knob from an island called Santa Barbara. And they are 63. San Clemente Island is 64. And the San Nicolas Island Naval Outlying Field, also out there in the water, is 69. So there are places where you can go. Santa Cruz Island is 93
Wasn't that
somehow.
wasn't that wasn't that where former President Nixon used to like to spend time? San Clemente?
Yes,
Or
I
was that?
believe
Yeah,
so. Santa
yeah.
Barbara
And
Municipal Airport, which is on land, by the way, is 73. Okay, but there's an island out there that's called Santa Barbara that's 63. So I guess those are two different places.
by the
They,
way, Frick Flintstone used to like to spend had a mansion or whatever he was going to try to inherit. San Clemente.
yeah,
Think of
exactly,
that, right? Yeah.
exactly. All right, let's go to the satellite loop tonight. If you look out off the North Carolina coast, you'll see this little ball of convection. Little circulation is on the southwestern side of it, and it's partially exposed. It's trying, but having some difficulty because there's some shear going on here. But this is Tropical Depression 2, and there is a short window for the Hurricane Center to make this a tropical storm. If it's gonna happen, it'll be either on the next advisory or first thing tomorrow morning. Because after that, it's going to be gradually moving into colder water and an increasing shear environment. So if it doesn't get rid of the name bill now, between now and tomorrow morning, it ain't going to happen. And in the meantime, in the Southwest Gulf, you have this has been going on for a few days now. You have disorganized clouds and showers there. There's some of the clouds, the higher level clouds seem to be moving from west to east. The lower level clouds are moving from east to west. So, still not quite an ideal scenario here for development today. But I think by the time we get toward the end of this week, you're probably going to see some kind of low come out of here. And that could very well become a tropical depression or a tropical storm. And actually, by the way, Joe, and this is a little unusual, but the Hurricane Center is actually pointing out a system off the African coast, which on the satellite is not a half bad looking system for this time of year. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of convection with it. Probably some scattered convection in there. So I would think that the case for development here is not a strong one, because it's probably going to run into some shear as it moves toward the west. Plus, it's surrounded by dry air. But it's a nice little circular ball of clouds that maybe if this were a month from now or 6 weeks from now, you would probably be a bit more interested in it. But for now, it's just sort of I don't know, just a little bit of a non-event of something that's coming off the African coast for middle of June.
Well, part of the problem also probably are Sahara Desert dust that may keep it from intensifying to any great degree. Of course, that'll eventually, the dust threat usually dissipates or disappears within a matter of, as you mentioned, like 4 to 6 weeks. Once that's out of the way, there's a better chance of these systems off of Africa to, develop and wind up and take shape and take form. So right now we're looking at potentially Bill off the mid-Atlantic coast. If that system in the Gulf of Mexico develops, it'll become Claudette. And you know what? It's a funny thing, Joe. You said either tonight, late, or tomorrow morning, they may name that system off of the mid-Atlantic coast Bill. But if it doesn't get named, then that means that Bill may end up for the
Yes.
system down over the Gulf of Mexico. So
Yeah.
you can never tell with the.
I'm trying to load the loop here. It's just taking forever to load, but I'm trying to load the loop here of the tropical Atlantic, and actually, you can see the haze that is over much of the tropical and even the subtropical Atlantic. Now we got I think maybe the last frame is about to hit in here. There we go. Come on, it's just so slow today. And it isn't even my problem. The Hurricane Center is just having, I've been trying to download loops from them all day, and it's been such a pain. But there is a lot of dust out there in the Atlantic, and also a lot of dry air. No question. So even though the area off the African coast is impressive, it's hard to imagine how this thing is going to develop.
Yes, and I'm looking at some of the folks in the chat board. Christina Pedia, wasn't Claudette a song by the Everly Brothers? I'm not a big music fan, so I can't really answer that. I'm not really sure. And Alfred Phillips mentions that way up north, Wainwright, Alaska, just got a bowhead whale subsidence hunting. Whatever that
Really?
means. A bowhead whale
I imagine that means.
In other words, there's a bowhead whale, and he's hunting for I guess stable air, subsistence hunting. Is it looking for, dry, pleasant air?
I mean, unless that's code. Unless that's code for dinner. I don't know.
Yeah.
Explain, Alfred. Explain. We downstaters don't know all the ins and outs of living on the North Slope of Alaska, so I'm definitely curious as to what that means. Wainwright, Alaska, just got a bowhead whale subsistence hunting.
Subsistence hunting.
Oh, okay. So I'm guessing
wait a minute. Is that subsistence?
No.
In other words, he's looking for food.
Yeah, I think so. Subsistence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'm right. It's dinner.
Yeah.
For at least a week. So,
and maybe, and of course, we don't know, but I mean, like, maybe Alfred Phillips is alluding to the fact that the mere sighting of a bowhead whale in his neck of the woods is kind of unusual, kind of like seeing let's say a humpback whale in the East River. It'd be unusual for us.
Or that, or the one that was off Cape Cod that swallowed that guy and then spit him out.
Correct.
Yeah, they're used to humpbacks. They usually they eat krill, which are teeny tiny shrimp, basically krill, and they actually follow the Gulf Stream up toward Norway and Sweden and Finland. They follow the Gulf Stream up that way because the herring go up that way. And I bring this up because there's been talk about how the Gulf Stream might be collapsing out in that part of the Atlantic, and this is a serious matter, at least from the standpoint of wildlife, because there's a whole chain of wildlife, fish and whales and seals that rely on the Gulf Stream to get the herring up there, and then there are certain fish that breed up in that area that survive year to year because the water is warmer than it otherwise would be. So this is a big deal.
It is, and Renata and I went on a whale watching cruise back in 1999 up around Nova Scotia and also Newfoundland, and that's up there. It's not unusual to see killer whales, humpback whales, which we came rather close to. So, I guess this is the time of the year when you'll see them. But I'm still wondering I never heard of a bowhead whale though. So that's why I'm hoping that our Alaskan friend will explain. Well, I could probably just Wikipedia it and find out.
Correct. Oh. Storm Prediction Center. You can see what they did today. They upgraded this morning by expanding the slight risk area. There are a couple of severe thunderstorm watches that are still in play. The marginal risk It looks like they might have nudged it a little further to the east this evening and extended it a little bit further to the north. And also, it extends down into North Carolina. You can also see marginal risk in a small portion of southwest Texas, and then moving up from northeastern Colorado and western Nebraska, western Kansas, and going northwest up into parts of Montana. For tomorrow, we have a marginal risk indicated in the Atlantic coast, the Carolinas to Georgia, northern Florida to the Panhandle, back to southeast Louisiana. No severe weather is being indicated for day 3. So we get what we get today, and then things are going to calm down. As far as rain is concerned over the next 7 days, the next, aside from whatever stuff falls tonight, the next real chance of anything is going to be probably on Saturday, and you see rainfall amounts on the order of about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So that might account for whatever we wind up with the next cold front. And in the meantime, also note on the Gulf Coast. Now this is going to be from potentially a tropical depression or tropical storm Bill, and you see the rainfall amounts in excess of 7 to 10 inches in parts of southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi, and we'll probably see these numbers grow tomorrow. I'm sure this map will be updated, and we'll probably see a larger area of heavy rain across the central and eastern Gulf states, and maybe even into the southeastern part of the U.S. Because I think ultimately, if something does come out of there, that it's going to be rain is going to be the big deal, and it's going to eventually wind up going to the east and east northeast to the southeastern states over the weekend.
And Joe, as far as overall conditions, and you're right about Saturday. The chance of thunderstorms, the next chance of any significant rain after we get past tomorrow. Just looking here, dew points for the Hudson Valley, projected dew points of 41 on Wednesday. 41. You mentioned on yesterday's show how the GFS had forecast dew points in the 30s, and I said, well, I don't know about that. It'd be a hard press to get into the 30s at this time of the year. But I'll tell you, if what I'm looking at shows 41 for Wednesday, there may be a few spots that may very well dip below that 40-degree mark dew point wise on Wednesday, which is absolutely incredible. 44 on Thursday, still very delightful. 52 on Friday. And then we jump to only marginally muggy. 62 on Saturday. That'll be when the next round of showers and possible storms arrive. And then hopefully for Father's Day on Sunday, we'll drop back into the 50s, and hopefully also we'll have a dry day. I remember Mother's Day, unfortunately, we had some wet weather to deal with during the course of the afternoon. But it looks like right now, aside from maybe a stray leftover shower early Sunday morning, maybe, it looks like for the most part, Father's Day, Daddy's Day on Sunday looks to be rather nice.
Probably from the standpoint of the dew points, Joe, equally, I think, a big astounding is the fact that places down where I am right now in Georgia, the dew point is forecast to drop to the low 50s here tomorrow afternoon. And
that's absurd.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got dew points here Wednesday afternoon on the Florida Panhandle in the mid and upper 50s. And now I'm going into Thursday, and 40s dew points into northeastern Georgia, much of South Carolina, North Carolina away from the coast, dew points in the 40s. And you've got the 50s dew points still down into the Florida Panhandle. So that, I think, is probably, we do get cool, dry air masses coming into the Northeast in mid-June. That's not exactly breaking news, but maybe this, in terms of the magnitude and how deep the trough is perhaps a little more, a little stronger than you would normally see in a pattern like this. But I think the fact that you got the westerlies going all the way down almost, to about Jacksonville is pulling down all this dry air up and down the eastern seaboard. And of course, at the same time, when we talk about the heat in the west, what do you got there? You got this big upper high that's sitting right over Four Corners. We pointed it out yesterday, and I mean, this thing is super strong, but it's not going to move to the east. If anything, it could get reinforced over time in the western part of the United States, because another trough is forecast to drop into the northeast going into this weekend. And also, if you look in the Gulf of Mexico, this is where we have the upper low reflection of whatever comes out of there responds to a weakness in that ridge in the west as it starts to slide westward into Arizona and Southern California. So you're going to take a system that's going to try to come northward, maybe into Louisiana, and then eventually it just turns eastward in across the southern states, because the jet stream here in the north, this next upper trough, Joe, is just going to wind up suppressing a lot of that moisture. And this is for early Sunday morning. I mean, you've got westerly winds across the United States down into the Carolinas. So any kind of tropical system that comes into the Gulf states is going to probably ride across the Gulf states and off the southeast coast.
Indeed, indeed. So I think really though, for looking beyond tomorrow, again the weather looks absolutely gorgeous for Wednesday and for much of Thursday and Friday as well. So this week looks like a very nice mid to latter part of the week. Looks very, very nice, exceedingly nice. And the weekend, again, the only clinker might be Saturday with the combination of humidity and the threat of shower and thunderstorm activity. But Sunday, for Father's Day, looks very nice. Looks like all of you dads will have a good day, hopefully in the afternoon, lying out on the hammock. I don't know, but I don't have a hammock, Joe. I don't know if you had.
I had one. I had a hammock.
You had one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you
they were good.
One,
they're nice.
Sundays, yeah. Sunday maybe a hammock day, or if you will, a 3H day. Not hazy, hot, and humid, but for hot dogs, hamburgers, and hammocks.
Works for me. All right, watching this, I got the GFS rolled back so we could take a look at the late afternoon run here. Of course, if you look off the Virginia coast at 2 a.m., there's a 1,004 millibar tight little low wrapped up. That could be Bill. It might not be. Still a little leftover troughing in the northeast tomorrow. So even though we have this drier air coming in, it's going to be a little cold and unstable aloft. So that could trigger off a couple of scattered showers, particularly in parts of upstate New York and in northern New England, in Vermont, northwestern New England. So Bill Rogers, you might see some showers scattered around tomorrow. Wednesday and Thursday, the big high builds in. Now you start to look down in the Gulf. You can see that the low that forms. It's a very broad low. It's an elongated north-south. And also you'll notice that all the convection, all the radar representation of the convection on the GFS, it's all east and northeast of the center. There very little of this is on the west side. So it's probably not going to be the most obvious tropical system that you've ever seen. It's going to be more stretched out. And then that rain goes in. This is Friday night, Saturday morning. And again, because of what's going on in the north, you got another front approaching New York and Boston and Washington, D.C. with some showers and thunderstorms late Saturday afternoon. All the southern moisture gets pushed out off the Carolinas, and that leaves us with a pretty decent Father's Day. And then it looks like another weather system starts to approach sometime later next Monday. So one front after another. It's going to be, it's going to be awfully hard for it to get hot and humid for more than or very warm and humid for more than a day or so.
Well, the place again, the region that will be in extreme heat for a number of days to come are places out, generally west of the Mississippi and across the northern southern Rockies and desert Southwest and even the Pacific Northwest. Do we take a look at what the temperature was for Seattle, Joe, or are they also engaged in that extreme heat? Or
give me a moment, I'll find it. Hang on a second. I was trying to find a Gulf Stream map for
Bill Rogers.
For Bill Rogers here, so just give me a second here, and I'll pull back the hazards map.
Hang on. I've got the Seattle, Tacoma, Washington National Weather Service page up. So all I need to do is just click on. No. It's 64 right now in Seattle. 64 in Seattle right now, and 71 for Wednesday, 76 on Thursday, 77 on. No, at least you can hold pleasure in knowing that if you go out to the Pacific Northwest, it looks like places like Seattle and Portland will not be involved with that, extreme heat and that much of the West is going to be going through in the days to come.
I think I've got
However,
a.
I'm not going to Seattle, so it doesn't really matter to me anyway. So
I'm trying to find a map here for. The Pacific maps are easy to find. The Atlantic maps are for some reason they're a little more difficult to find. And I'm trying to find one that goes across the Atlantic so that you can see how the Gulf Stream looks. Let me see if you could manage to see it on the global map if I make it wide enough. Okay,
oh,
so
come now, dear,
yeah,
come
so
now. My wife on the chat board. She says, "quote This internet sucks tonight."
she used the S word. Well, the problem's
She's
not on
annoyed.
the problem's not on my end. Just so you know, it's not me. Um, I'm throwing out more data than I usually throw out, so it's your way. You got those storms nearby up the Hudson Valley. So, Bill, take a look at
Probably.
this, and if you take a look at this map, I don't know if you can see it too well, but there's a darker streak that comes off of the Keys and then kind of runs up the Florida coast and then turns sharply eastward from there. And then it's a little more obvious as you go into the Atlantic. You see these little eddies of lighter colors. So there's your Gulf Stream. And just to the north is very cold water, obviously in the blue. The big water temperature change over a relatively short distance, and that Gulf Stream, if you follow it along, kind of just meanders its way toward Ireland and England and Scotland. It's not quite far enough north there. It's more south of Ireland right now. Probably adjusts a little bit further to the north as we go through the summer months. But that's kind of what the Gulf Stream looks like, and it would to an extent. It's still impacting ocean water temperatures in the area that I just circled, because otherwise all this cold water that you see off the coast of Greenland and off of Iceland, that would be much further south than it otherwise would be. So that's why I mentioned earlier about the fact that the Gulf Stream, if this part of the Gulf Stream is indeed collapsing, that's going to have serious ramifications at a number of different levels. I mentioned the wild eye ramifications. Honestly, if you wanted to ask, you need to ask somebody who knows about this stuff as what the weather implications would be, because I don't know what the weather implications would be. Frankly, I think most people wouldn't know what the weather implications would be if that were to happen.
Of course, we always like to look at the jet stream during the Gulf Stream during the winter months, because very often we have noticed that storm systems, let's say Alberta Clipper storms, for example, that swing down out of Alberta, then cut across the mid-Atlantic and then move out to sea. As soon as those systems get their feet wet, and especially when they move out over a relatively warm Gulf Stream water, they tend to just blow up. Bombogenesis, as we sometimes call it, although these days the mainstream media refers to it as a bomb cyclone. But I think the warm Gulf Stream waters have more of an influence on weather systems in the winter as opposed to during the summertime. In the summertime, you have a more homogeneous region of warm water with just that little few degree surge, if you will, that marks the Gulf Stream. That may very well be also, Joe, why the Gulf Stream now and in the coming months appears to be so narrow, if you will, as opposed to maybe a more broader region during those cold wintry months when you've got those chilly temperatures in the 30s and 40s, and then you run into the Gulf Stream and immediately it jumps up into the 50s and 60s.
Right.
A friend of mine said, in fact, he was on a cruise ship and he said it was amazing. As soon as this was in December now, as soon as the cruise passenger ship, immediately when it made contact with the Gulf Stream, he said we could step outside, and it was almost like shirt sleeve weather because of the warmth of the surrounding ocean warming the air temperature up as well. So, but anyway, something to look at in the summertime. Again, as you just pointed out with that map of the Gulf Stream, and something that will be worth monitoring in the coming months. Although again, I think personally more of a greater influence on weather systems in the winter as opposed to the summer.
Right. And Bill asks what's causing it to collapse. It's the melting of the Greenland glacier, fresh water melting into the ocean. It's causing the ocean water temperature, reducing the salinity. It's causing the ocean water temperatures up in that region to drop. And if you look at the anomalies map, which I tried to find one that was big enough to increase in size, and I can't. But if you look at the anomalies map, there's been this sort of persistent pool of near where the Gulf Stream is, where the ocean water temperatures are running several degrees below what they should be, and that's a very important thing to watch. Again, I don't know what the implications are going to be. We really need to talk to a climate specialist to get the answer to that question. And speaking of specialists, the chairman has put together another fantastic Briller Jeopardy for tonight for you, Mr. Rayo. So are you ready to go?
I am all set.
All right.
I'm all ready.
Before you do that, give me 1 second. I just got to grab something off the shelf. But give me 1 second. Since we have somewhat of a crime theme going tonight, I just want to point out that I finished my friend's book. My friend Dr. John Avanzato, who is a gastroenterologist and now wrote his 12th mystery novel, and his book is called Under the Weather, and I'm in it, although my last name has been adjusted just a little bit. But I finished it. I'm not going to say. You can find it on Amazon, and I don't get any money for it, so just to let you know. So this is all Dr. John makes money out of this. I'm just trying to figure out who's going to play me in the movie. Actually, all the actors, a lot of the actors that I would want to play me in the movie are all dead.
Are dead.
Yes.
Like Burt Reynolds.
Oh, clearly. Clearly.
I know. Here was the perfect guy to play you, Joe. And sadly, he just passed away. Ned Beatty.
Yeah, Ned Beatty might have worked. I did see that. Yeah, he did pass away. For years, people told me, that John Ritter would have been a good pick to play me. In my younger days, I guess we looked a little more alike than I do now. I look more like Monty Woolley now, but no matter. The older folk in the audience will understand that one. Okay, so here we go, Joe. So you ready for the first question? Tonight's theme is
the magnificent Monty, as he was called.
Yes, I love Monty Woolley. I loved him, and the man who came to dinner, which is a hilarious comedy, and also
briefly alluded to on that one episode of I Love Lucy.
Yes. There's a movie, I've only seen it once, and I'm dying to see it again, but I've never seen it again show up on Turner Classic Movies, other than the one time I saw it. Monty Woolley got an Oscar nomination for it, The Pied Piper, and it's a great story about a man who... this was during World War II, Nazi-occupied Germany, and helped a group of children escape the Nazis. And it was a great movie. One of these days, hopefully, they'll play it again. And of course, he's in The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant, David Niven, and the beautiful Loretta Young.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, tonight's theme, Joe, is Batman. Okay.
Oh,
all right.
No.
Yes, Batman. So question 1 is, can you name the 6 leading actors who played Batman in a motion picture?
Oh, dear me. I know it wasn't Adam West, because Adam West was in the TV version.
No, he was also in the movie version. They did a movie. So
yes, that's right.
They did a movie.
That's right, they did. They did with all the villains involved, the Penguin and the Joker and Catwoman. Catwoman was played by Lee Merriweather.
Lee Merriweather, yes.
Remember her?
Yes, I do.
Former Miss America.
Yes,
so does that count as one?
And formerly Buddy Ebsen's daughter in Barnaby Jones.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So George Clooney, right? He played Batman.
George Clooney, that is correct.
Correct. And I have to sadly pass on all the others, Joe. I'm aware that there were other Batmans, Batman and Robin, Batman versus Superman, and
Right.
I was just never, I was never really into the Batman movies. The first Batman movie was interesting, but that had Jack Nicholson in it playing the Joker.
Yeah, I remember that one. So the Batmans are Christian Bale, Ben Affleck,
Right.
George Clooney, Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, Adam West. So those are the Batmans.
Okay.
All right. Now the next question. I think you'll have better luck with this one. Okay. So name the actor who played the following villains in the Batman TV series. Okay. If you miss less than 3, you win a Batman suit. Okay. I think you should get all of these. The Archer.
The Archer was played by Art Carney.
That is correct. Minerva.
Right. Minerva was played by damn.
She had a famous. She had famous sisters, darling. She had 2 famous.
Well, it wasn't one of the Gabor sisters.
Of course, it was one of the Gabor sisters.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it Zsa Zsa?
Zsa Zsa, yes. Ava
Zsa Zsa.
Ava was doing. She was doing Green Acres.
I never saw either one of them at the same time. I think there was one like a Merv Griffin show where they said they were going to have both of them on, and I missed it, and I was so upset about that.
Yeah, I don't think they appeared together very often. Yeah.
And in fact, on Green Acres, there's an episode where she I don't know who she makes this comment to. She says, "I was never very good at anything except my Zsa Zsa Gabor imitation."
Okay, who played Lola Lasagna?
Oh, thanks a lot, Scott, because I knew Scott was going to give me the easy ones like Victor Buono or Cesar Romero or whatever. He's giving me like the somewhat obscure ones. I'll bet you on your list, Joe, you probably have. I could tell you who some of the actors were who played villains, like Milton Berle, but I can't tell you who Milton Berle played.
All right, well, that's coming up.
In fact, hold on. Stand by. Where is it? Hang on. I wish I knew in advance about this. Then I could actually find it. Oh, there it is. There you go. The big argument between my son and I was that he liked who played the Joker.
Cesar Romero
passed away. No, I mean, who played the Joker in the movies? The one who passed away.
I forgot. Yeah, he did die.
Well, where it is, we had major arguments. He liked that Joker, and I said, no, my Joker is this
exactly Cesar Romero, for Christ's sake. You could see his mustache underneath the makeup. No, Lola Lasagna.
It almost looks like my head now is Cesar Romero, doesn't it?
Yes.
Lola Lasagna, I have no clue.
Ethel Merman.
Ethel Merman.
Yes.
Oh.
The Siren.
Oh, the Siren was Joan Collins.
Okay, now.
I loved the Siren.
Yeah.
She wore like an aluminum foil, tight-fitting aluminum foil dress.
Yeah, she's. Louis the Lilac.
Was that Liberace?
No. You already mentioned him.
Oh, you mean Milton Berle?
Milton Berle. All right.
Berle played
now, King Tut.
Is Victor Buono.
Can you name both Riddlers? I'm throwing one in here. Can you name both Riddlers?
All right, well, there's Frank Gorshin was one of them, and John Aston played the Riddler, didn't he?
Right.
For one episode or whatever, a couple episodes.
Right, for a couple episodes.
Yeah.
My favorite, and I would argue of all the villains, he was the smartest of them all, was Egghead.
Egghead. Although I will take issue with that. Bookworm, played by Roddy McDowell. Remember him?
Yeah, but I think Egghead was the smartest of all the villains.
Okay, well, and Egghead also had
He was
teamed up with Ogla. Ogre?
right, Queen of the Cossacks.
Yes,
Was that played by? I think it was played by Ann Baxter.
Ann Baxter.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay, so we got rid of the Riddler. We got rid of Egghead. Ma Parker.
Ma Parker. Oh. See, why is it when people mention Ma Parker, I get messed up with Shame, who was played by Cliff Robertson.
Right.
Robertson. Ma Parker was the only other Texas villain, I guess, or villain that alluded to it, Western or Texas theme. I'm sorry.
Ma Parker
Her
was
name just popped in me.
Shelley Winters.
Really?
Right.
I'm trying to. Yeah, that's right. And that was before she put on a lot of weight for the Poseidon
Adventure. And the last one on the list is Dr. Somnambula, a.k.a. the Sandman.
Oh, God. Why don't you just ask me who Falseface was?
Mordecai. Well, I used to know this. Mordecai. Falseface was played by Mordecai. Oh, God, what was that last name? I actually know this. Oh.
You remember the actual?
I hate being
show
62. Ugh. I don't remember anything anymore. Mordecai.
Falseface, and they put like question mark Falseface. Who played Falseface?
Well, who played Dr. Somnambula, the Sandman?
I don't know.
Michael Rennie.
Michael Rennie.
Malachi Throne.
I think
That's it. Malachi Throne.
All right.
Played Falseface. I just googled it real quick.
A better question. I'm not trying to tell the chairman what kind of questions to get on Jeopardy. Maybe you might want to do this for you, Joe. Who were the characters? Who were the actors who made cameo appearances as Batman and Robin were climbing the wall? And the window opens up.
Right.
You have no idea. I read somewhere where they were in Hollywood. They were like banging the door down.
They were begging to get on the show. Yeah.
Right. Either be a villain or at least have a cameo appearance. You know.
I remember
open up.
Sammy Davis was one.
Sammy Davis and Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
I don't recall any of the other ones, but those two I recall. I don't recall the other ones. But
there were some who were like meteors. They had a brilliant, brief career, but they burned out very quickly. One of them was a columnist, a very attractive woman. I think she went by the name Susie Knickerbocker. Anyway, she was hot right around 66 or 65 or whatever when Batman was on, and she was one of the people who stuck her head out the window.
Didn't know her.
Right.
All right, well, that was pretty cool. I'm glad at least I remembered half of Malachi Throne. I couldn't remember the other half. All right, well, that's life. All right, let's wrap it up because you know what, Joe? This was a long day here. It actually got hot. Yes, the Joker. Fat man and boy blunder. What is wrong with this sentence? He who laughs last laughs good. Oh God.
Well, anyway.
All right.
I knew this was going to come in handy someday, and it finally has.
Well, for the first time in a while, we actually went over 100 viewers. And, of course, we scared them all away by the time the show was over because we're down to 77. But thanks, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate everyone here tonight. Joe and I will be back tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern time, and we'll see if we get Tropical Storm Bill overnight and check off another name in this very young hurricane season. So stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern time. Good night.
Righto. Good night.